I never imagined I'd find myself in this situation. For years, I believed my marriage was unshakable. Emily and I had been together for 8 years, built a life, faced struggles, and came out stronger each time. She was my best friend, my rock. But trust is a fragile thing. Once broken, it can never be the same again. That Friday night started like any other. I had just finished a long day at work and was looking forward to a quiet evening at home. Emily had mentioned earlier that her team was celebrating the completion of a major project. She assured me it was just a casual office gathering, nothing out of the ordinary. She had these events from time to time, and I never questioned them. Why would I? She had never given me a reason to doubt her before. At around 9 p.m., I was scrolling through my phone when I got a text from an unknown number. "Hey man, I don't know how to say this, but you should probably check on Emily. Something's not right." My stomach tightened. The message was vague but unsettling. I replied immediately, asking who it was. "It's Jake from her office. Look, I wasn't going to say anything, but I saw something tonight that didn't sit right with me. I think you deserve to know. Jake." I had met him once or twice. Seemed like a decent guy, polite, friendly. But now I could feel my pulse quicken. Something about his words sent a chill through me. I dialed Emily's number. It rang 3 times before she answered, her voice slightly off. "Hey, babe. What's up?" There was noise in the background. Music, laughter, muffled voices. It sounded like a party, not the quiet office gathering she had described. "Just checking in. You having a good time?" I asked, keeping my voice casual. Asterisk. "Yeah, just a little longer and I'll head home," she said quickly. "Love you." She hung up before I could respond. Something was wrong. Emily always stayed on the phone longer, always asked about my day. But tonight, she sounded rushed, almost nervous. I stared at my phone, my mind racing. Then another message from Jake appeared. "I'm sorry, man. I just saw her coworker. Ryan. Kiss her." She didn't push him away. The room seemed to spin. I read the words over and over again, hoping I had misunderstood. But there it was, plain and simple. Emily, my wife, kissing another man. A wave of emotions crashed over me. Anger, disbelief, hurt. I wanted to believe there was an explanation, that there had been some misunderstanding. But deep down I already knew. I grabbed my car keys. I needed answers, and I was about to get them. The drive to the bar felt like the longest of my life. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles turned white. My heart pounded in my chest, a toxic mix of adrenaline and dread coursing through my veins. I wanted to believe there was some kind of misunderstanding. Maybe Jake saw wrong. Maybe it was an innocent mistake. No, I couldn't lie to myself. The way Emily had rushed me off the phone, the hesitation in her voice, the fact that she hadn't even mentioned Ryan being there. It all pointed to something being very, very wrong. When I pulled up to the place, a trendy bar downtown, I didn't hesitate. I stepped out of my car, took a deep breath, and walked inside. The moment I entered, I spotted her. Emily stood near the bar, a drink in her hand, laughing at something Ryan had just said. He was standing way too close, leaning in like he owned her space. And then, as if the universe wanted to drive the knife even deeper, I saw it. Ryan brushed a strand of hair from her face, his fingers lingering just a second too long. Emily didn't stop him. She smiled. That's when something inside me snapped. I moved before I could think. Within seconds, I was standing right behind them. "Having fun," I said, my voice sharp and cold. Emily turned, her eyes widening in shock. "Oh my God, what are you doing here?" she stammered, as if I was the one in the wrong. Ryan, to his credit, didn't immediately back down. He just smirked like this was some kind of game to him. "Relax, man. We're just celebrating," he said, his tone casual, dismissive. I looked him dead in the eye. "Celebrating? By touching my wife." Emily stepped between us, placing a hand on my chest, but I didn't move. "It's not what it looks like," she insisted. But her voice was too high, too frantic. I glanced at Jake, who was standing off to the side, watching everything unfold. His face told me everything I needed to know. I turned back to Ryan. You kissed her, didn't you? His smirk faltered for half a second before he recovered. It was just a friendly kiss, he said, shrugging. I laughed. A bitter, humorless laugh. Friendly, I repeated. Is that what we're calling it now? Emily looked between us, her face pale. Let's just go home and talk about this, she pleaded, reaching for my hand. But I wasn't ready to go anywhere. I leaned in slightly, my voice low so only Ryan could hear. You ever touch her again, and we'll have a much bigger problem. Ryan didn't respond. He just took a small step back, and I saw it, the flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. I turned to Emily. We're leaving. Now. She hesitated, glancing at Ryan one last time before nodding. As we walked out of the bar, I felt a storm brewing inside me. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The car ride home was suffocatingly silent. Emily sat in the passenger seat, arms crossed, staring out the window like a scolded child. I could see her fidgeting with her ring, twisting it around her finger, something she always did when she was nervous. I wasn't sure if I was more furious at her or at myself. Furious at her for betraying my trust, or furious at myself for not seeing the signs sooner. Finally, I broke the silence. Start talking. My voice was low, controlled. Emily sighed, like this whole thing was some inconvenience to her. I told you already, it wasn't what it looked like. I gripped the steering wheel tighter. You expect me to believe that? I watched him touch you, and you didn't stop him. You laughed. You let him get that close. And let's not forget, someone else had to be the one to tell me. Not you. She let out an exasperated breath. Ryan is just a friend. He got carried away. I didn't want to make a scene at the bar. I shook my head, pulling into our driveway. Do you hear yourself? You didn't want to make a scene, but you had no problem letting him put his hands on you in front of your coworkers. I put the car in park and turned to her. What exactly has been going on between you two? Her jaw tightened. Nothing. I don't believe you. She opened the door and stepped out before I could say anything else. She was running, dodging, trying to shut me down. But I wasn't letting this go. I followed her inside, shutting the door behind me. Answer me, Emily. If it was nothing, then why didn't you tell me Ryan was going to be there tonight? She rubbed her temples like she was exhausted by the conversation. Because I knew you'd overreact. I let out a bitter laugh. Overreact? You call this overreacting? A man kissed my wife and I wasn't even supposed to know about it. If it weren't for Jake, you wouldn't have told me at all, would you? Her silence was deafening. I felt my stomach turn. How long has this been going on? Nothing is going on, she snapped. I didn't kiss him back. He was drunk, and he crossed the line. That's all. You let him cross the line. That's the problem. She groaned, pacing the living room. You're acting like I had an affair. I stared at her, searching for any sign of remorse, any sign that she understood how deeply this had cut me. But there was none. So, if I let a drunk woman kiss me, and I just stood there smiling, you wouldn't have a problem with it? I asked. She hesitated. That's different. How? Because I didn't want it. Then why didn't you push him away? Why didn't you shut it down immediately? She threw her hands up. I don't know, okay? I was caught off guard. I didn't want to embarrass him in front of everyone. And embarrassing me? That was fine. Her lips pressed together in a thin line, and for the first time, I saw something flicker in her eyes. Was it guilt? Or was it just frustration that I wasn't letting this slide? I'm done talking about this, she said finally. But I wasn't. This wasn't just about a kiss. This was about trust. And right now, I wasn't sure if there was anything left to salvage. Sleep didn't come that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. Emily was curled up on the edge of the bed, her back to me, breathing steadily like none of this was happening. I should have been able to close my eyes and trust the woman beside me. But after what I saw, after what I knew, how could I? At some point, frustration took over, and I got out of bed. I walked downstairs, poured myself a drink, and sat in the dim glow of the kitchen light, trying to piece together the truth. Ryan didn't kiss her out of nowhere. That's not how these things work. There was build-up, flirty exchanges, lingering touches, inside jokes. Things I had missed. Things she had hidden from me. I needed answers. So, I did something I never thought I'd do. I checked her phone. It was charging on the counter, untouched. My hands hovered over it for a second. A small part of me hesitated, but that hesitation disappeared the moment I remembered the way Ryan had touched her, the way she had let him. I unlocked it. Her messages with Ryan were still there, and what I saw made my blood run cold. For weeks, maybe months, they had been texting. Some of it was normal, work-related, but then there were the messages that crossed the line. Ryan, you looked amazing today. That dress should be illegal. Emily, haha, stop, you're trouble. Ryan, only if you want me to be. You love the attention, don't you? Emily, LOL. Shut up. I clenched my jaw so hard it hurt. It wasn't outright cheating, but it was a pattern. A dance they had been playing, where she let him get closer and closer. And that meant the kiss tonight wasn't a mistake. It was inevitable. I scrolled further. Ryan, wish you were here. I take care of you the right way. Emily, you're so bad-faced with tears of joy. The rage that built in my chest was suffocating. I locked her phone and set it down, my hands shaking. She had lied to me, over and over again. And now she was upstairs, sleeping like nothing was wrong. I stormed up the stairs, my heart pounding. She stirred as I turned on the bedroom light. What? How long have you been flirting with him? I demanded, my voice sharp. She blinked, confused. What are you talking about? Your texts with Ryan. Her face went pale. You? Yeah. I looked. My voice was steady, but my pulse was thundering. And you know what I saw? I saw weeks, months of you encouraging him. You let him cross the line long before tonight. So tell me, what else are you hiding? She sat up, running a hand through her hair. I didn't do anything, I swear. It was just harmless fun. We never. Don't lie to me. Tears welled in her eyes. I didn't cheat on you, I promise. It was stupid flirting. I got caught up in the attention, but I never thought. You never thought you'd get caught, I interrupted. She swallowed hard. I didn't mean for this to happen. I shook my head, letting out a bitter laugh. You didn't mean for it to happen? That's your excuse. She looked desperate now, reaching for my hand. Please, let's just talk about this. I love you. I don't want to lose you over something so. So what? I snapped. So small? This isn't small, Emily. This is betrayal. You let him get this close. You wanted it. She shook her head violently. No, I didn't. But I didn't believe her anymore. I turned away, the weight of it all pressing down on me. I don't know how to come back from this, I said finally. And the truth was, I really didn't. The silence in the bedroom was deafening. Emily sat on the edge of the bed, clutching her hands together like she was trying to keep herself from falling apart. But I wasn't interested in her breakdown. I was living in my own. I need you to be honest with me, I said, my voice hollow. No more excuses. No more dodging. Just tell me the truth. She sniffled, wiping at her eyes. I told you I never cheated. I never slept with him. I scoffed. You expect me to believe that after everything I just saw? I know how it looks, she burst out, voice shaking. But I swear to you, Ryan was just... It was a stupid mistake. I let things get too far, but I never crossed that line. I stared at her, my mind fighting against itself. Part of me wanted to believe her, to think that maybe this was salvageable, that maybe this was just a mistake and not something more. But another part of me, the one that had been replaying every touch, every text, every look they must have shared, knew better. So what? You just liked the attention? I asked bitterly. She nodded, ashamed. I guess yeah. You've been so busy with work, and I don't know. He made me feel wanted. But it was never real. You're my husband. You're the one I love. Her words should have meant something, but they didn't. Not anymore. You didn't think I made you feel wanted? I asked, my voice quieter now. Emily looked at me, and for the first time, I saw something break in her expression. She knew she had destroyed something she could never rebuild. "I don't know," she admitted. "I think I got lost in it." I let out a shaky breath, rubbing my hands over my face. "Do you even realize what you've done to us?" I whispered. Tears streamed down her face. Please don't give up on us. I can fix this. I can prove to you that it was nothing." I stood there, looking at the woman I thought I knew, and I felt nothing but exhaustion. "How do you fix trust, Emily?" I asked, genuinely wanting to know. She had no answer. For the first time since I caught her, she had nothing to say, and that was all I needed to know. The weight of her silence was suffocating. She had no answer because there was no answer. Some things, once shattered, could never be put back together. I paced the room, running a hand through my hair, my mind racing with everything that had led up to this moment. "How long were you going to keep this from me?" I asked, my voice controlled but dangerously low. Emily swallowed, her hands gripping the sheets. "I don't know. I wasn't thinking." "Exactly," I cut in. "You weren't thinking about me, about us, about our marriage." She wiped her tears with the back of her hand, but I wasn't moved. Not this time. Not after seeing those messages. "What do you want me to do?" she asked, voice trembling. "Do you want me to quit my job? Cut him off? I'll do anything. Just, please don't let this be the end of us." I shook my head, letting out a bitter laugh. "You want me to believe that now? After everything? After you spent months lying to me, keeping this going behind my back?" She flinched, and for a second, I saw something shift in her expression. Anger. "I told you, I never slept with him. Why can't you just believe me?" I let out a sharp breath, my patience thinning. "Because trust isn't about words, Emily. It's about actions. And your actions told me exactly where I stand." Her face twisted in frustration, her fingers tightening around the fabric of her pajama pants. "So what? You're just gonna throw away 8 years over some stupid texts?" I narrowed my eyes at her. "You threw it away. You invited him in. You entertained it. I never got a choice." Her mouth opened, but she quickly shut it, knowing there was nothing she could say to argue with that. I stepped back, running a hand down my face. "I can't do this right now." "Then when?" she pleaded. "I don't know." I turned and walked out of the bedroom, needing air, space, anything to clear my head. I didn't leave the house, but I didn't go back upstairs either. I sat on the couch, staring at the darkened TV screen, my mind racing. Could I ever really trust her again? Or was this just the beginning of the end? I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, my mind replayed everything. The texts, the way Ryan touched her, the way she let him. The worst part wasn't even the kiss. It was the slow unraveling of the truth, the realization that she had been walking this line for months while I was in the dark. By morning, I felt hollow. The anger had settled into something worse, indifference. Emily was already awake when I walked into the kitchen. She looked like she hadn't slept either. Her eyes were puffy, dark circles shadowing her face. She was sitting at the table, hands wrapped around a mug of coffee she hadn't touched. "Hey," she said softly. I ignored her and went straight to the coffee maker. "Are we just not talking now?" she asked after a moment. I poured my coffee and leaned against the counter, finally meeting her gaze. "What do you want me to say, Emily?" She hesitated. "That you still love me. That we can fix this." I exhaled slowly. "I don't know if we can." She flinched like I had struck her. "You don't mean that." "I don't know what I mean anymore," I admitted, taking a sip of coffee. Silence stretched between us, thick and unbearable. "I quit my job," she blurted out suddenly. I blinked. "What?" "I called my boss this morning. I told him I was done. I blocked Ryan. I even deleted social media. I'll do whatever it takes to prove to you that I'm serious about fixing this." I studied her, searching for sincerity. And for the first time, I saw fear in her eyes, real fear. "And what if it's too late?" I asked. Tears welled in her eyes, and she shook her head. "It's not. Can't be. I won't let it be. I set my coffee down and crossed my arms. Emily, why did you do it? Really? I want the truth. She wiped at her eyes. I don't know. I think I liked the way he looked at me. I liked the attention. And I hated myself for it. But I didn't stop. She let out a shuddering breath. I swear to you, I never planned on cheating. I got caught up in something I didn't know how to end. You could have ended it the moment it started. She nodded, guilt written all over her face. I know. I looked away, my jaw tightening. I love you, she whispered. I wish that was enough, I said quietly. Her breath hitched. I turned and walked away before she could say anything else. Because deep down I knew the truth. This wasn't something we could come back from. The house felt different after that conversation. It wasn't just a home anymore. It was a battleground of unspoken words, shattered trust, and painful memories I couldn't erase. Every time I looked at Emily, I saw the months of lies, the texts, the way she had let another man invade what was supposed to be ours. She tried, I'll give her that. Over the next few days, she walked on eggshells, making my favorite meals, forcing small talk, pretending like we could just move on. But every moment felt forced, every interaction tainted. And then, one evening, as I sat on the couch staring at the blank TV screen, she sat down beside me. Are we done? She asked softly. I turned to her. She looked exhausted, defeated, like she already knew the answer. I don't see how we come back from this, I admitted. I don't trust you, Emily. And without trust, what are we? Her lower lip trembled, but she nodded. I was hoping time would fix it. Time doesn't erase what happened. It just makes it clearer. She sniffled, running a hand through her hair. I don't want to lose you. You lost me the moment you let him touch you, I said, my voice steady. You just didn't realize it yet. Tears streamed down her face. So that's it. I let out a slow breath. Yeah, that's it. The next few days were a blur of logistics, dividing things up, talking about how we'd handle telling family and friends. She moved out first, staying with a friend, and the silence she left behind felt oddly calming. For the first time in weeks, I wasn't second-guessing myself. I wasn't wondering if I was overreacting, if I should have fought harder to forgive. No, the only thing I regretted was trusting her for as long as I did. Some betrayals don't come in the form of full-blown affairs. Sometimes they come in small, gradual steps, crossing lines you swore you never would, until you wake up one day and realize you've destroyed everything. Emily destroyed us, and I had no interest in picking up the pieces.